Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Histories of Horror, where we follow the echoes of the past to uncover the truth behind the veil. It's Cy Marie, and tonight Elle and I are leaving the haunted streets of New Orleans behind to drift into the murky waters of the Midwest. We're exploring one of the most terrifying unsolved cases in Missouri's history, the Missouri River Killer. AL, how does this one strike you?
Hey, Sai. This case is chilling because it's not just a single crime. It's a string of murders spanning more than a decade. Between 1982 and 1994, at least seven women a- and girls ages 13 to 36 were found floating in the Missouri River. Some of them had their legs severed. The brutality, the anonymity, the silence surrounding this killer make it one of the most disturbing unsolved mysteries in American true crime.
Exactly. What makes it even more haunting is that the killer was never identified. I think that that's probably one of the scariest things that we've talked about on the show is that we're talking about a case where they still don't know who's responsible. So the Missouri River became a graveyard and Kansas City a hunting ground. The geography itself, the river swallowing secrets, adds to the horror.
And unlike the Katrina couple, where the trauma and the collapse of society framed the crime, here we're dealing with a predator who thrived in anonymity. The Missouri River Killer was calculated, methodical, and completely invisible.
And again, that invisibility is the most terrifying part. The victims were last seen alive in Kansas City, but their bodies surfaced miles downstream. So the river became both a dumping ground and a message.
Yeah, I'm still here. Okay. Let's set the stage. Kansas City, early 1900s. 1980, the city is bustling, but beneath the surface, women begin disappearing. By the late 80s, law enforcement starts connecting the dots. Four bodies discovered in the river, two missing their legs. All of them had vanished from Kansas City nightlife.
So the victims weren't
Hmm.
from one particular background, and I think that that's important because a lot of predators tend to target specific types of people, but in this case, they ranged from teenagers to women in their 30s. So the
Hmm.
randomness makes the case even harder to profile. Was it opportunistic? Was the killer targeting women who wouldn't be missed right away?
And
The
police
motives
suspected
are
a
really
serial
hard to
killer, but
detect.
the investigation was hampered by jurisdictional divides. The Missouri River cuts across counties, and each discovery meant a new set of investigators. That fragmentation gave the killer cover.
And the press at the time dubbed him the Avenue Mutilator. That name alone shows how the public was grappling with the horror. But unlike other infamous cases, this one never had any closure. There was no arrest, no
Which is why the
confession,
Missouri River
just
Killer
bodies in the
remains
water.
such a haunting figure. He's a ghost in the archives, a predator who vanished as suddenly as he appeared.
Right, and that's what makes this case perfect for histories of horror. It's not just about the crimes, it's about that silence, the unanswered questions, and the way
Right, and the
communities
key
are
moment
living with
is the
this
discovery
unresolved
itself.
terror.
Between 1982 and 1994, bodies began surfacing in the Missouri River. At least seven women and girls between ages 13 and 36 were found floating downstream. Several of them have their legs severed. This wasn't a single crime, it was a pattern, a chilling signature.
Right, and the brutality of the discoveries is what cemented the case in public memory. These weren't accidental drownings, they were mutilations. The severed limbs, the repeated dumping into the river, it all pointed to a calculated predator. The Missouri River became
And the scenes
a
police
graveyard
encountered
and
were
a stage.
horrifying. Victims were last seen alive in Kansas City, often near the nightlife districts, but their remains surfaced miles away. The killer used the river as both a disposal and as a disguise. The press dubbed him the Avenue Mutilator, a name that captured the grotesque nature of his crimes.
It's the sheer anonymity that is so jarring. Unlike Zach Bowen's confession, here there was no note, there was no map, no explanation, just silence. The killer left nothing but bodies in the water. That silence itself feels theatrical,
Hmm.
almost boastful, like he wanted to rub it in people's faces that they would know who did it. Like the river was meant to
Exactly.
speak for him
This
and
wasn't a
be his
crime of
largest
passion quickly
mask.
covered up. It was repeated, deliberate, and meticulously executed over years. The mutilization suggests not just violence, but ritual. The Missouri River Killer wasn't hiding in chaos. He was hiding in plain sight, using geography as his accomplice.
And that's again what makes this case so haunting. The river swallowed the evidence, but it also carried the horror downstream, spreading fear across communities. The killer's invisibility, the lack of closure, and the calculated mutilation all point to a profound disassociation, a predator who
So, Sai,
erased
we discussed
humanity
in our last
from his
episode.
victims.
Do you think haunting is a memory on repeat or a trapped soul?
In the case of the Missouri River Killer, I lean toward haunting as a memory on repeat. The river itself has become the witness. Each body that surfaced carried the echo of terror, and the water replayed that horror again and again. It's not a conscious spirit, but it's the geography itself that has been imprinted with
How
that
does the
violence.
public's enduring fascination with this unsolved case reflect our need to process profound evil?
It's a defense mechanism. By naming the killer the Avenue Mutilator, the Missouri River Killer, we try to impose order on the chaos. We dissect the darkness to convince ourselves that we can understand it and therefore protect against it. But the truth is, some evil remains unfathomable,
Why
and the
might
lack of
sharing the full
resolution
story of
makes
the
it even
victims,
harder to
not
bear.
just the lurid details of their deaths, but the lives that they lived, bring a kind of peace or closure?
Because it restores their humanity. These women and girls were daughters, friends, workers, dreamers. By remembering them as full people and not just a victim, we can reclaim their dignity from the anonymity of the killer tried to impose. So all of that secrecy and dehumanizing them can kind of, evaporate because we're bearing witness
And
as
I
an
think
act
it
of
also
resistance
serves as a
against their erasure.
reminder of the hidden toll of fear. Kansas City in the 1980s wasn't a disaster zone like post-Katrina New Orleans, but the community still served the corrosion of the trust. The river became a signal of vulnerability, and that collection unease is a part of the history that must be acknowledged.
And the thing with this is I agree, it's about giving space to those who were silenced and remembering the women of the Missouri River. So,
Mhm.
the first victim was Annette Parker, and there were 7 women that were abducted and unalived during this time by the Avenue Mutilator. Annette was 27 years old. She was discovered floating in the Missouri River on May 31st, 1982 by 2 fishermen at the Choteau Bridge. She was found with a rope tightly round about her neck, and she had 13 stab wounds in her chest. She was originally from Omaha, Nebraska. She had been missing for over a week prior to her body being found. The next victim was Melody Jo Milliner, who was 24 years of age. She was found in Lafayette County on August the 6th of 1986. She worked as a prostitute and she had a 2-year-old daughter. She had regularly helped her father on his farm in Kansas and once told him she was selling information to police about an unknown investigation. One area that she frequented, which was Independence Avenue, is believed to be where she encountered the Missouri River Killer. The next victim was Linda Davis, she was 17 or Dennis, excuse me, 17 years old. Then we had Kimberly Rash, 19, Rhonda Dennis, 16, Beverly Tracy, 13, who was the youngest of the victims, and Viola McCoy, who was 36. Some of the possible victims that they did not directly tie, but they believe may also have been unalived by this man or woman, whichever the case may be, was Angela Donald, who was 18, Viola Barber, 23, Beverly Douthit, 31, Christina Brandelos, 21, and Candace Fisher. So it's about giving space to those who were silenced, and we remember the women, as I said, so that whether you're a skeptic, a believer, or somewhere in
Until
between,
next
thank
time,
you
stay
for walking through
curious.
this dark history with us. And remember, the scariest shadows are the ones that are terrifyingly true.